Comic Book Savant, episode 431. Welcome back to the Comic Book Savant podcast. I'm your host, James Harris. In this episode, we're going to be doing a trade review. In this trade review, we're going to be looking at Teen Titans Volume 1, Full Throttle. This is the new run of the DC Comics Teen Titans, written by Adam Glass, artwork done by Bernard Chang, Robson Roca, Daniel Enriquez, and Scott Hanna. And it collects Teen Titans issues 20 through 24 and Teen Titans Special 1. So this came from a few months ago when they relaunched like a lot of the Justice League books. They didn't start with a whole new number 1. They continued the numbering, but it's listed as Volume 1 of this new incarnation written by Adam Glass. But before we get into that too deep, as always, I'd like to give a shout out to my friends over at the Comics Podcast Network. If you like Comics Podcasts, you enjoy this show, and you want to find more content to listen to, the Comics Podcast Network is a one-stop shop that you can stop by. It's just a portal that has a listing of literally hundreds of different comic book related podcasts, be it if you're looking for one for a specific character, publisher, team, you name it, they pretty much will have a podcast covering it on the Comics Podcast Network. You can find them over at comicspodcast.com. Definitely stop by. Again, if you're in the market to find more comic book related content to listen to, it's definitely the place to go. Definitely want to give them a shout out. I've been affiliated with them a long time, so I always try to shout them out at the beginning of the episode because I know a lot of you guys, consume more than just my podcast. So I feel like it's always a good resource, very reliable and good content that you can find over there. So if you have a moment, stop by there and check out some of the shows on the Comics Podcast Network. Now, getting back to the trade. Again, so it's Teen Titans Volume 1 Full Throttle, published by DC Comics. Retails roughly for about $12.99, but you can find it relatively cheaper. Written by Adam Glass. Again, artwork Bernard Chang, Robson Roca, Daniel Enrique, Scott Hanna. Colorist that worked on the book is Marcelo Manalo, Sonny Gao, and Hi-Fi Graphics. And then we have lettering done by Rob Lay and Deron Bennett. And like I said before, it is going to collect issues of Teen Titans issues 20 through 24 and then Teen Titans Special. But I wrote it backwards, but I think it starts on the trade with Teen Titans Special issue 1, then it runs Teen Titans 20 through 24. So I had that actually in the wrong order. And the breakdown from the trade is as follows. A tag along with the Teen Titans as they discover a new beginning without the supervision of their elders. Introducing brand new characters like Crush, Lobo's illegitimate daughter, Roundhouse, a shape-shifting superhero noob, Dijin, a 8,000-year-old genie who's just been let out of her bottle. With a new team behind him, Robin is building something in secret beneath the new Teen Titans headquarters. So this kind of spins out of the events of the Justice League No Justice, and kind of Robin feels kind of fed up with the way Batman and Superman are doing things. So he's basically at the end of that series breaks away on his own and starts his own incarnation of the Teen Titans. Though he's been a part of the Teen Titans before, this is his own team. And they're all, also we have, Wallace West Flash in the team, and the new Red Arrow as well. So that rounds out the rest of the team that's a part of this new incarnation of the Teen Titans. And I was really caught off guard by the series. I love Damian Wayne. I was really upset when they killed him off in Batman Incorporated some years ago, but then they brought him back. And then when they first brought him back, it was kind of like he had like Superman kind of powers. And I'm kind of glad that whole phase, and it seems like they're getting Damian back to where I really enjoyed the character now. And I had just not too long ago read Justice League No Justice, so I'm finally catching up on all the different series from the different Justice League series that spun out of it. And this is, the Teen Titans, this incarnation spun out of that as well. And like I said, since I was always a big fan of Damian, I had to at least check it out, and I really have to say it was a pleasant read. Adam Glass is a solid writer. I felt like he had a really spot-on characterization of Damian Wayne. I'm not familiar. Like, it's a lot of new characters. Like we said, Crush is a new character. Roundhouse, Daijin. I'm not familiar because I haven't read Green Arrow in a couple of years since that Jeff Lemire run with Andrea Sorrentino. That was the last run on Green Arrow, and she was being, I think, introduced at the time, that character that's now the new Red Arrow, but I'm not super familiar with her, so I'm learning a lot of new characters, and I haven't read Flash in a while, so I'm not versed with this new Wallace West that they brought in that kind of mimicked the one on the CW show. So I'm learning. So it's kind of cool because I'm learning all these new characters, and them interacting together is really, really cool, and it's really been fun. But Glass has done a good job so far building up these new characters, their interactions together. It feels like, and I've always been a fan of team books. I mean, going back to the 80s with books like the X-Men, the Marv Wolfman, George Perez, Teen Titans, All New Teen Titans, things like that, X-Men, The New Mutants, X Factor, X Force, when all those books were really starting up in the mid-90s. So, even Avengers back then. So I've always gravitated to team books. And I got to give a shout out to you guys. You guys have been like awesome. I feel like, this has been the most productive year. I thought last year was. This year's proven, the community has grown, the interaction that we've had, the Savant Society has taken form. I read this on Hoopla. I read this for free on Hoopla. I had kind of been on the fence about, do I want to plop down, when DC spun out all these new books, I was just like, do I want to spend money to check these books out? And it's cool with a service like Hoopla Digital. If you haven't checked it out, or you haven't heard about Hoopla, I did a whole episode on the YouTube channel. Just go on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com/comicbooksavant. I did a comic book collector's guide on talking about the Hoopla service. So this is one of the books you get to, for me, where I'm located, I get to check out like 2 trades a month, or 2 items from the virtual library, and I always just get 2 trades that I'm kind of on the fence about, and this was one of my selections for a month, and really enjoyed it, and I want to go on with this, I want to go forward with the series. Like, that's how it really kind of hit me, and it was really fun. I've been behind on my DC books, so, it's been fun catching up. I've been reading quite a few trades recently that reviews that are coming. I don't want to ruin the surprise, but it's reviews coming everywhere. If you're on Patreon, if you're on here, if you're on the YouTube channel. So I don't know. I can't remember what reviews are where and when you might see them, so I don't want to ruin it. But I'm having fun getting back into the DC universe. I think I've read a lot of other stuff recently, so it's cool to kind of, with books like No Justice and Teen Titans and Justice League Dark and all these new books, to kind of reintroduce myself to the DC universe proper, and I've enjoyed more than I haven't enjoyed coming back into that world. Again, the brand new characters like Crush, Roundhouse, Daijin, they're really interesting and have their own spins, and they're very unique. it adds a level of freshness to the Teen Titan formula, because so many times the Teen Titans are just made up of people that are sidekicks from major heroes like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman. Now, you're getting some of these newer characters in. It's changing up that formula that we've seen for so long. So I like that, and it really puts that Damian stamp, and they all have that similar mindset that they're tired of the way things that are going, and how their adult counterparts or people they're associated with, because you do have Red Arrow, so she is associated to some way to Green Arrow, but they want to take justice into their own hands, and we're going to see what trouble might that get them into in the process, which has been very interesting through this first story arc that I read. And I felt like Glass did a great job as well, introducing us to the characters and the premise of the team right up front in that Teen Titans Special issue 1 before launching into the main series. So it wasn't so jarring. You kind of knew, you kind of got the setup of what's motivating, specifically what is Damian's motivating factor, why he picked certain people to be on the team. Now, the only discrepancy I saw from the Teen Titans Special issue 1 to the Teen Titans 20 through 24 issues, the only character that seemed a little off and slightly different, and it could have been something that happened in between and maybe a Green Arrow book that I just haven't read yet, I'm not sure, was the Red Arrow. Her characterization in the special to how we saw her in 20 through 24, she seemed a little more like Damian. Then she seemed a little bit more unique in the special, and it just seemed something a little off. But again, I don't know much about the character, so I don't know which characterization is off and which one was on. So that's just me. The different artists combined, their styles are all somewhat similar, so there was no real jarring drop-offs or changes. The styles kind of, fit in with one another. Really liked it. Kind of anime-ish influenced, high energy. Fight scenes looked fantastic. Really solid artwork across the board. To rate this just straight up, like I said, I had a really good time. I want to continue to read the series. I gave it an 8.25 out of 10, which is classified as a good read on my rating scale. Like I said, this is something now that I tried it on Hoopla. I would get this digitally. Like I said, I want to continue reading the series. And definitely, if you haven't already, look into Hoopla's hoopladigital.com. If you have a library card, you can sign up for the service. If you don't, you can just do a Google search for your local library closest to you. And I know for me, I signed up for a library card just online. Like, the whole process didn't even take 5 minutes for me to go to find my local library, sign up for a card, get approved, get my library card number, go to Hoopla Digital, sign up for the service. It was took about 5 minutes total doing all that. And they have different media. It's not just comics. It's movies, it's music, it's digital books, it's audio books as well. So it's literally like a virtual library. And when I say they have comics, they have relatively recent comics. Like, they're constantly updating Marvel, DC, Image, Valiant, all the companies. Like, they give them content, and you check them out, and you have like I said, it varies from your library how much content you can check out. For me, it's only 2 books, 2 items a month. But again, they're totally free digital content just by having a library card. Like I said, I did that feature episode, that video on YouTube like a couple of months ago now. And it helps, and we talk about all the time through the podcast, like, our budgets, get tighter and tighter where, we have so many different demographics coming across in the Savant society. And, we have, we have things to spend money on. We have families. We're, you're young adults. Like, you got to live. So you don't have an unlimited cash supply to just spend on comics all the time. So different alternatives like this, that's a free alternative. Things like even DC Universe. They've opened up their library now with DC Universe. When you sign up for it, you have access to 22,000, I think now. They've opened up like the whole floodgates to the back archive. So through those different services, if you don't mind reading comics digitally, and I know some of us still prefer to read physical comics. For me, digital is just the way to go because I buy too many comics just for reviewing for the show, just being a fan and want to read. I had a conversation with my wife recently. Like, she asked me how many comics I've purchased now through Comixology, and it's somewhere in the area. Well, it's 2,400, pushing like 2,500. And she was like, "I'm so glad you don't have physical comics anymore because that would just be so many comics that you would have everywhere." And I'm like, I agree. So you don't have that, clutter. So if you don't mind, and even if you do read some physical comics like this, I feel like Hoopla is great to try out books because it's no real risk. You're getting a chance to read these legally for free through a digital format. Hoopla has an app for your iPad, for your phone, for your like if you have a smart TV device, like if you check out a movie, it's a Hoopla app, and you would have access to the movie through the app on your like Apple TV or Roku or something like that. So it's really a dope service that I want to get out there to you guys to at least try out. Sign up for it, try it out, and let me know what you think. It's been awesome supplemental for me where maybe a book that's not available since DC is a part of Comixology Unlimited now. More recent books are on Hoopla and they're for free and they're from DC through the Hoopla service. Cause like, I don't think Full Throttle was even on sale yet, or it legitimately just came out and it was right on Hoopla. So I could get it immediately. And where it's not a part of DC Unlimited and it's not on DC Universe yet, I can get it on Hoopla and read it. So that's really cool. And that's what I really have been enjoying about the service. So, again, really solid book. If you like Damian Wayne, if you like any of the characters, because like I said, it is Wallace West and the new, I cannot remember her real name, but it's Red Arrow. She's the newest Red Arrow, female Red Arrow from the Green Arrow book. Definite Shadows is Shadow's daughter, but I can't remember what her name is. But definitely, like, it is a fun, good book, and it is definitely some intrigue on what Damian is doing that the team doesn't even know about yet. That's going to come out at some point. It's like they really set up some good story beats for what's to come. So I'm really, really interested to see where it goes. So I will be doing a follow-up review on the volume 2 as soon as I can get that in my hands to read. But that's all I have for you guys for this episode. Like I said, I'm going to be changing it up, throwing these trade reviews in. Like I said, I wanted to get back doing some reviews here on the main podcast channel in incorporation with not just on Patreon or not just on video format, because I'm reading so much. So you'll see more of these reviews sprinkled in. I've already done a couple that you've heard. There'll be a couple more coming down the way, mixed in with the regular flow of episodes as well. So let me know if you enjoy them. You can email me, comicbooksavant@gmail.com. Don't forget to, if you haven't checked out the Facebook group, please take a moment to join up. We've had more and more members coming on, and it's really just cool to be able to interact and for us to get to know one another. If you want to go to the group, it says Facebook.com. What is it? Groups okay, let me say it right. Facebook.com/groups/the Savant Society, all one word. And you just request to become a member. As soon as I see it, I approve it. You can just come in and join into the daily comics conversation that we have. And again, we just get to know each other, talk about topics, I throw show ideas out to see if you guys would enjoy them. So we just interact with one another. It's really been great getting to know you guys and girls, and just us interacting with one another. So if you have a moment, do that. And last but not least, If you guys like the show and you want to help support the show, check out the Patreon. It is patreon.com/Comic Book Savant. I have four different tiers. So if you want to help support the show and the content that I'm creating and the content I'm trying to create in the future, definitely stop by, check that out. And that's all I have for you guys for this episode. So I will see you guys again next week for another episode of Comic Book Savant. You guys stay safe, and I will talk to you soon. Until then, take care.